Hello, and welcome to this episode of Felonious, a podcast where we discuss the realm of true crime. From chilling cold cases to the wild and wacky, we'll explore it all with a perfect blend of seriousness and humour. My name is Emma.
And I'm Nazia. To keep up to date with what's coming up, be sure to follow us on Instagram at felonious.pod and visit our website feloniouspod.com. We hope you enjoy this episode, so let's get to it.
My headphones make a really awful sound.
I heard a creaking sound.
Yeah, that's my headphones.
Why?
I don't know, Sony, innit?
I thought they would have been quite... I don't know. I don't know anything about Sony. Apart from PlayStation.
Yeah. And apart from Sony Pictures getting hacked, that we spoke about last week.
Oh yeah, that's true. We did speak about that last week. Gosh, my memory. It's a good thing we haven't done a multi-parter case for a while, because my memory is really bad at the moment.
Yeah, same here. The insomnia doesn't help with that at all.
Yeah, having kids doesn't help with that.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Right. So what have you found this week? I feel like I found something last week, but what happens is we talk about it on WhatsApp and then I forget about it.
Oh, no.
So next time I should just put it on our files.
Yeah, just paste it. That's what I do.
Yeah, I know. I should do what you do. But yeah, what are your finds this week?
I've got two very different finds this week. I got a sort of nice one. This is on a BBC news website, as I do every time. And now it's asking me for cookies. And no, I'm not hungry. I don't want cookies. So I'm not sure how to pronounce this woman's name. Narges Mohammadi. She's an Iranian woman who was jailed for advocating women's rights, and she got a Nobel Peace Prize a few days ago.
Nice.
So she's in prison in Iran.
Oh, so she's currently in prison?
Yeah.
Serving a 10-year jail term?
Yeah.
Right.
I thought that was, it was quite a nice story that she got a Nobel Peace Prize, but...
I mean, it's not going to do her much good because she's in prison.
Well... I'm hoping that it actually, because I didn't know anything about her before I saw this article, so I'm hoping that more people learn about her. And
it's quite interesting with everything that's been going on in Iran more recently, especially around women's rights. So how do they award someone a Nobel Peace Prize if they're still in prison?
Well, I don't think you need to go to the party to get the prize.
Yeah, she's not going to get day leave, is she?
Well, no, not exactly, no.
No, especially not from Iran.
But she was able to do an address from prison in which she said, "Woman, life, freedom," which is a motto of a recent mass protest that's currently sweeping Iran. And she said that the prize recognised the hundreds of thousands of Iranians who have demonstrated over the past year against the regime and the oppression of women. So, yeah, I thought she was worth a mention.
Yeah, no, that is some positive news in very, very dire circumstances.
They also, at the Nobel Peace Prize, urged Iran to release Miss Mohammadi so she could attend the prize ceremony in December.
I've just read here, last year she was included in the BBC's 100 Women, a high-profile list of 100 inspiring and influential women around the world.
Oh, I need to watch that. I didn't know that existed.
No, me neither.
Oh, as well as her current jail term, she has been arrested 13 times, convicted 5 times, and sentenced to a total of 31 years in prison.
Wow. She has also been sentenced to 154 lashes.
Yeah.
Bloody hell. I mean, she needs more than a Nobel Peace Prize. Especially if she has been punished as severely as that.
She also wrote to the BBC about how Iranian women are treated in prisons, sexually and physically abused.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me at all.
So yeah, I thought that was an interesting story.
Yeah.
Yeah, the next story is very different. This is on LBC, which is a UK radio news
broadcaster?
Broadcaster, yeah.
I've seen clips of LBC, like where people have reposted things on the Instagram.
Yeah. Yeah, I used to listen to it quite a bit in the UK. One of my jobs, it used to be on in the background.
All right.
So, yeah, I used to listen to that. But this article, published this year in September, Dunelm puts bed linen in secure cabinets in shoplifting epidemic linked to cost of living crisis.
Right.
Now, I've heard of, here they have put beefsteak in locked cabinets in the fridges here because beef is so expensive here. To get a beefsteak, it's like nearly £20. Whereas in the UK, you could get a piece of steak for like £5.
Probably because of the factory farming and lack of animal welfare.
Well, they don't really over-farm here.
Yeah.
Which is why it's so expensive.
Yeah.
But they started putting it in cabinets because people were stealing steaks.
That's understandable. It's food.
It is.
But bed linen?
Yeah.
I mean, who's stealing bed linen?
I don't know, but I didn't know about the shoplifting epidemic in the UK.
Me neither, but I guess with the really severe cost of living crisis, it's bound to happen, isn't it?
Yeah. Also, what's been given extra security is Lurpak butter.
Right.
And did you know a pack of Lurpak is now about £9?
What? I mean, I've never bought Lurpak.
No, but it's just a pack of butter.
Yeah.
It's £9 a
tub. What's it made with? Like special... No, is it dairy? Yeah. What is it made with? Like...
Butter?
Unless it's some special cow's milk. That's crazy. Just get the supermarket brand stuff. It's just as good. Even better, get the ones based on olive oil and sunflower oil and all that stuff, the plant butters.
Yeah, get the palm oil free ones.
Yeah, they're much better for you and they're cheaper.
And they're better for the planet.
Exactly.
This article says that shoplifting levels in England and Wales rose by 24% in the last 12 months.
Well, that's what you get when there's a cost of living crisis. Oh, I think bed linens should be the least of people. Mind you, with all the bed bug worries.
Oh, yeah. How are you getting on with that? Apparently, it's turned up on the tube in London.
Yeah, well, it's no surprise with the Eurostar.
Yeah, true.
And even, I guess, if people are flying. I mean, I don't use public transport. I probably use it once in a blue moon, so I'm okay.
Yeah, I don't use it here, but I don't think they'll get as far as here. It's too cold.
Well, I just don't go anywhere. But it's half term coming up and I've got at least 1 or 2 days planned to go into Paris. But I've got a friend who travels into Paris every day for work and she's been okay. Like, she hasn't brought anything back.
Mm.
But I think I have a feeling it's very, very exaggerated. I don't know. I've never experienced bed bugs. Even travelling, I've never come across bed bugs.
Yeah, I haven't either, thank God.
Yeah. Well, might now. But I guess Paris is in a bit of a panic because we've got the Olympics next year.
Oh God, yeah. You thought COVID was bad. Bed bugs is worse.
Yeah, I know.
Bed bug epidemic.
Yeah. Well, I'll let you know in a couple of weeks if I bring back any bed bugs from my day out in Paris. I just won't sit on the seats. I'll stand, it's fine.
Yeah, just fumigate yourself when you get back home.
I'm hoping they get it under control by then.
You hope so.
Yeah. Speaking of trains...
Yeah.
That brings us nicely onto today's episode.
Yeah, so in this episode we'll be discussing the act of fare dodging or fare evading. We'll take a look at some stats and facts reported in different countries, and we'll see if some countries consider it a criminal offence. We'll talk about extreme cases, including why turnstile jumping is a lethal sport, and we'll discuss the reasons why people fare evade in the first place. Now, where did I put my jammy dodgers?
Ha ha, I see what you did there. But yeah, I mean, fare dodging, it might seem like such an obscure topic, but we did some digging and you found some really interesting articles and extreme cases.
Yeah, I did a Google deep dive on this one.
Yeah, like it's not the most intense topic we're talking about, but there's a few interesting stories. So I guess we should go through a disclaimer. So we're going to be talking about, it's not going to be very like horrendous topics.
No, there's one or two mentions of death.
Yeah, there's at least two instances where we do talk about death. But generally, it's about poor people going to prison for not paying their fare, rich people not going to prison for not paying their fare. Probably will do a bit of swearing, especially when we talk about our experiences of fare dodgers.
Oh, yeah.
And again, we know that we mentioned in our introduction that we would focus on cases outside of the UK and US. We do go back to the UK a little bit with this. So yeah, sorry, not sorry. And we don't condone or support the actions of fare dodgers, but we can understand why it happens in some cases. So this isn't to encourage anyone to become a fare dodger.
No, unless you live in Sweden, and that will become clear later on.
Right? And maybe France.
We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll find out everything. But let's first talk about what fare dodging actually is. Fare dodging or fare evading is the act of not paying for a journey or number of journeys on public transport. Is there a word for it in French? Or a term?
Do you know what? I don't know. I need to look into that. But I mean, it happens a lot in Paris, which we'll discuss when we talk about the statistics. But like Paris is known for people either tailgating or jumping the barriers.
Yeah. Have you ever dodged a fare?
Not intentionally. For example, there's two stations that I live between. This is really like mundane, but there's two stations that I live in between and they're equal distance. And I had a spare ticket once when I was coming back from Paris from a previous trip that I hadn't used because the barriers were open. So I never needed to use this return ticket. So I thought I'll save it for the next time. So I used it the next time, but my train wasn't stopping at the stop that was on the ticket. Even though they're both within the same zones, they're both within the same price bracket. So when I got to the barrier, it didn't work. And I had like my baby in the pram and the guy just like let me through.
Oh, okay.
So I've done it unintentionally.
Yeah.
But I think because in France, or at least in Paris, it happens so much. You can easily just blag your way through.
Yeah. They're just used to it, I guess.
Yeah, but if you do get caught by a ticket inspector, they're not lenient.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah. What about you?
Yes, but not intentionally. It was actually here in Gothenburg. Because you don't buy tickets for the tram and bus networks here from the driver. It's all done like via app or by machines on board the vehicle.
Yeah. I think that's the same in France. They have like a little machine outside the bus stop. Yeah.
So when we first got here, we were a bit confused with how to pay, and we just automatically thought it was free because like there was no obvious signs for it. And then like the few times afterwards, we noticed there was actually posters in Swedish and in English about how to pay.
Yeah.
So yeah, didn't mean to, but it happened.
Yeah.
And I witnessed a lot of people doing it in London as well when I was travelling on the tube there.
Oh my God, I hate it when it happens in London.
Yeah, people tailgate like anything and just they push you through the gate as you're like tapping your card on the reader.
Or like if you're going through the big barriers for the suitcases and prams, because they're wider barriers and they stay open longer.
Yeah, they just come with you.
Yeah, and like, so if I'll be waiting with either like my suitcase or the pram or both, and there'll be someone like pushing up right behind me, and I'm like, I'd look at them and I'm like, do you actually think you're going to get through? I've got a buggy and a suitcase.
Yeah.
Fuck off. So I just go really slow so they don't have time.
Yeah. That is the tactic, isn't it?
When they like invade your personal space.
Yeah, knobheads.
Yeah, it really pisses me off.
And in my experience, it was mostly men as well. So that was even more uncomfortable.
Yeah, definitely. Whereas in Paris, they have turnstiles, so people just jump over them.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But yeah, it's really, I hate it when it happens in London because, yeah, I just hate people encroaching on my personal space.
Yeah.
And like, I'm paying for this journey. Piss off.
Yeah. It's not like you get a comfortable journey either.
Exactly. I'm already going to get on a packed train. Yeah.
Knobheads.
But I don't think I've ever seen anyone get caught for it.
I've seen people like be questioned by ticket inspectors at the station, but I haven't actually seen them catch someone doing it.
Yeah.
I've just seen the aftermath of it.
A couple of times I've seen like TfL staff in London. They've seen someone do it, but then what can they do? They can't run after that person because they've still got to do their jobs with like the rush hour and everything.
Yeah, exactly. And the amount of violence that they would get as well for stopping someone.
Yeah, exactly. It's like it's not worth their trouble.
Speaking about London, talk about Transport for London first in our stats and facts section.
Yeah.
And they reported an annual loss this year. They estimated it to be around £130 million. So that's quite pricey.
Yeah.
In New York in 2022, they reported $500 million of losses on the subway. Hong Kong in 2023, between June 25th and July 3rd, they reported 671 occurrences of ticket evasion, 89 of which involved the abuse of the government's $2 travel discount program for residents aged 60 plus.
All right.
That's taking liberties, isn't it?
To be fair, when my mum had her freedom pass, I did sometimes use it.
Nausea.
Yeah. There were a couple of, I admit to it, I've done it a couple of times in the past. I don't encourage anyone to do it, but...
You see, I had the fortune of having a paid-for Oyster card because my boyfriend worked for Transport for London.
Oh, yeah.
Because we lived together, we both got a free Oyster card. An Oyster card is like, for those that don't live in London, it's a contactless card, basically, isn't it?
Yeah.
It came about before, like, you could use your credit card on the gates.
Yeah.
But yeah, I enjoyed that. That was great.
Yeah, I bet. You don't have to worry about paying, like, topping up your Oyster or buying a monthly or weekly travel card.
No.
And it was paid for.
Yeah.
And London transport is not cheap.
No, it's not. It wasn't cheap when we were living there, and it's not cheap now.
No.
In Mexico City in 2019, there were 1 million fare evaders per day.
Wow.
And this caused a loss of 5 million Mexican dollars, which sounds a lot as well. In Gothenburg, where I live, this year, the transport company Västtrafik reported losses of 500 million crowns per year, which is about 43 million euros. That's quite a lot for a little city.
Yeah, especially it doesn't seem like a very busy city compared to others.
It's not.
Like compared to Stockholm, for example.
Oh yeah, Stockholm's really busy compared to here.
Yeah. And then we've got Paris.
Paris.
Yeah, so in 2016, SNCF, which is one of the companies, reported that it lost 500 million euros every year due to fare dodgers. And in March of that year, there was an operation where 500 ticket inspectors went to Gare du Nord, which is the main station in Paris, and that's where the Eurostar goes. And they found, in just 3 hours, over 1,500 fare dodgers. And they managed to make 12,000 euros with on-the-spot fines in just those 3 hours.
That's mad. Because I read this the other day. When I first read it, I thought you'd done an error. I thought you meant to say 3 days.
Nope.
But it was 3 hours.
It's literally an afternoon. Yeah, I think they got there at like 2 p.m. and stayed till 5 p.m. And that's how many people they caught.
I mean, it doesn't equal the amount they lost, but still is nothing to be sniffed at, is it?
No. And like Gare du Nord, it's a big station, but to have 500 ticket inspectors there, that's a lot of ticket inspectors.
Yeah. They must have been at every, like, entrance and exit.
Yeah, because there's like loads of train lines.
Yeah.
Like they've got the metro and then they've got the equivalent of an overground. And
So that's like the central station, I guess.
yeah, in Paris. Yeah. And then we've got Sydney. In 2021, it was reported that fare evasion cost Sydney trains $14.6 million.
Yeah, lots of millions.
Yeah.
Some interesting facts. In Cairo, 1.5 million passengers visit Ramses Station a day. And in 2015, due to the amount of crime that occurred at the station, a court was planned to be set up inside to deal with crimes such as fare dodging, pickpocketing and baggage touting. And the reason for the court was that the legal procedures were drawn out and people were too often let go. And it's also not uncommon for people to bribe their way out of trouble in Egypt.
Right.
So the judges would be able to issue fines to people right away, leading to quick justice. But I couldn't find any information about whether the court was actually built or not.
Yeah.
So it would be good if anyone knows to let us know.
If anyone's been to Cairo recently.
Yeah, let us know.
And been caught for fare dodging.
Yeah. Yeah, you can tell your story.
Anonymously, obviously.
Yeah. Put a thing on your voice so you don't get recognised.
Yeah.
And did you know that evading a fare in a taxi is called bilking?
Never heard of that term. But I think that's even more disgusting than fare dodging because that's like that's more personal.
Yeah, that's someone's personal livelihood.
Yeah. Like someone has spent their time and day and petrol to drive you and then you just ditch them without paying. I think that's disgusting.
Yeah. Apparently police in Brighton have been urged to do something about it by cab drivers as a passenger runs off without paying every other day. Some police officers, when attending these matters, believe it is a civil matter and are not aware it is in fact a criminal offence. And taxi drivers have been given these pretty little stickers to put up inside their cabs to notify passengers and the police of the crime.
I mean, to be fair, given British police's track record, it wouldn't be the first time that they didn't know how to do their jobs. But yeah, that's awful.
Yeah, that's terrible.
Yeah.
Especially if you've been driving them around for an hour or something, and if you're doing an airport run or something. And
yeah. Or you're driving them at 2:00 in the morning.
Yeah.
Well, I do feel sorry for taxi drivers and cab drivers at that time of the morning, especially when they have to pick up drunk people and, they have to put up with so much shit.
But I thought I don't know if maybe it's just the black cabs, but I thought they were supposed to have cameras.
Yeah,
inside.
I don't know. Oh, God, could you imagine? I don't want to know what's been recorded of me when I've come home drunk many, many years ago.
Yeah, true. Yeah. I've seen you drunk.
Yeah, it was a long time ago. Anyway, so what are some of the penalties for ticket dodging? So in Milan in Italy, fines for not getting a ticket can cost you up to €120. In Dhaka, Bangladesh, the maximum penalty is a 10 taka crore.
Crore, yeah.
Never heard that term, but I looked it up and it's meant to be a financial term for, is it $1 million?
Yeah, they have the same in India.
Yeah, so the maximum penalty is a 10 taka crore fine, which is equivalent to €855,000, as well as 10 years imprisonment, which is quite harsh.
That's very excessive. I wonder if it has actually stopped people. I couldn't find that information either. So if anyone does know that, then yeah, please let us know.
Yeah, not sure if the Bangladesh legal system is that robust. No idea. Can't judge, I haven't been there for years.
Most people wouldn't be able to afford it anyway.
Yeah, it's quite a hefty fine. So in London, there is a penalty of £80. But if it's paid within 21 days, it goes down to £40. People can be prosecuted if they've committed fare dodging previously and they receive a criminal record. there are also plans to ban individuals who are serial offenders. Not sure how they would enforce that.
I don't know, but that was mostly on the tube. It didn't say anything about the buses.
Probably just to scare people.
Probably.
And on other rail services, the penalty for dodging in the UK is £100, which was raised from £20 this year.
Yeah, quite a significant raise, that.
Yeah. And in France, the fines, they can cost as little as €5 and go up to €180, depending on the violation, what sort of transport it was, and how soon it's paid. And fun fact, apparently putting feet on seats is a violation which can have a penalty starting from €60. But I've never seen that enforced.
I feel like there was the same on the London Underground. You could get fined for putting your feet on seats. But
yeah,
I couldn't find any information, and I had to look at the Transport for London conditions of carriage to see what fines there were, and there was nothing in there. But it does say under Section 9 in that you must not board any service with anything that is more than 2 metres long. Now, my boyfriend is 6'8", which is just over 2 metres. So
he shouldn't be boarding trains, really.
Well, it says that if you take anything with you. So
right.
Does that mean I should get fined?
I mean, he worked for TfL, so...
Yeah, true.
I mean, who would bring something that long anyway on the train?
I've seen a lot of strange things be brought on the tube, to be fair.
Yeah. There's not much space. I mean, when I used to do the mobile massage therapy, having to get on the train with the massage couch, obviously folded up and on a trolley, but it was a fucking nightmare. And suitcases. Oh, God, it's horrible travelling with a suitcase on the train.
Because there's hardly any space to put your suitcase.
Yeah.
And the space that there is, it's like mostly those fold-up seats.
Yeah.
So if you get someone old or infirm come on the tube, you feel like obliged to move your suitcase.
You're supposed to give them that space, aren't you? It's,
yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, moving on. Germany. Now, when I read this, I was like, what?
Yeah.
So maybe I'll say it clearer than how I'm reading it. So Germany has a law from the Nazi era against fare dodging. Now, we should say that Germany are trying to reform this law, but they have tried 10 times already, and each time they have failed. So the law dates back to 1935, when the Nazis were in power, and it means that if anyone can't pay a fine for fare dodging, then they can go to prison for it. And approximately 7,000 people are serving time for fare dodging. For example, there is a homeless man who dodged a lot of fares and received a letter in 2021 with a fine of €4,000. As he was unable to pay the fine, he had to do a 9-month stint in prison. Between 2012 and 2022, the homeless man went to prison 4 times for fare dodging, according to a France 24 article. The transport companies are stricter when it comes to serial fare dodgers who get referred for prosecution regardless of whether they have paid the penalty or not. However, there is a group called the Freedom Fund who are paying for people to be released from prison. There is a loophole in the law that says that people who are sentenced to pay a fine do not have to pay it themselves. To date, the group has been able to free 850 people for a cost of €800,000. And the prisons are in favour of the Freedom Fund as they believe the type of people who end up in prison for fare dodging don't belong there, as they are often socially vulnerable. Many prisons hand out the Freedom Fund's application forms to people as they arrive to begin their sentences. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Not the sentencing, but...
Not the Nazi law, but
yeah.
the Freedom Fund.
How are they struggling to reform this law?
I don't really know. You know how it is with old laws and...
Yeah.
Being stuck in the time. It happens a lot in the UK. With the old laws, is just keep hold of them.
Yeah, until something serious happens that causes a change, and there's like petitions and campaigns and yada, yada, yada.
Because apparently it costs money to change a law.
Yeah. Well, I hope they manage to sort it out soon.
So do I. These poor people, I mean, most of them are like socially vulnerable people who can't afford travel.
Yeah.
But to go to prison for fare dodging is just too excessive.
And also, they've got a criminal record, which then will hinder their job prospects and everything else. It's just like a snowball effect.
Yeah, I mean, how is that person going to be rehabilitated?
Yeah, it's very disproportionate to the crime. I mean, good for the Freedom Fund. They're doing what they can. So why do people evade fares? A study was carried out in 2015 by Professor Graham Curry, who is the Director of Public Transport Research Group in Australia, and Alexa Delbosque, who is from Monash University in Melbourne. And this study was carried out to look at the reasons for fare evasions. Further studies were carried out in London, Paris, Toronto, New York, Boston, Sydney, Brisbane, and Perth. In the original study, 4 categories were identified: accidental evader, it's not my fault evader, calculated risk taker, and career evaders. In Melbourne, they found that people who almost never paid for their tickets contributed, so the career evaders, contributed to the revenue loss. Their actions amounted for 68% of the total revenue loss in 1 year, or 54 million Australian dollars. And 580,000 accidental fare evaders, which was 14.5% of the Melbourne residents, caused a revenue loss of 4 million Australian dollars in 1 year. The follow-up studies in the other locations mentioned before identified similar issues of those who almost never paid for their tickets.
What's it's not my fault evader?
Probably me. Like, you've just made a stupid mistake and...
Oh, right, okay. Yeah, you expected the train to stop at that station and it didn't, yeah.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, I get
But then
you.
it's similar to the accidental evader. There is a table, if you Google the study, there is this table which goes into detail for the 4 categories, I think. But yeah, I couldn't really make heads or tails of it.
Okay. Sounds like they just made it up.
Yeah, I mean, they obviously spent time and money on this research, so they needed to come out with something.
So let's talk about some extreme cases of fare dodging. In 2014 in the UK, known as the biggest fare dodger in railway history, a hedge fund manager dodged fares on an 82-minute commute from Sussex to central London for 5 years, totalling to more than £42,000. He exploited a flaw in the travel system by disembarking at London Bridge and then tapping out at Cannon Street with an Oyster card, which is only valid to be used in London and neighbouring areas but doesn't stretch as far as Sussex, which is 36 miles or 58 kilometres away from London. The Oyster card fare was £7.20. The Sussex to London single journey cost £21.50. The hedge fund manager was able to pay £42,550 and legal costs of £450 within 3 days of being asked to pay and escaped criminal prosecution.
What was the point then? He had the money to pay.
Yeah, exactly. He just thought, oh, why should I pay the £21.50 when I can just pay £7.20?
Because you can afford to. You're a hedge fund manager, you bellend.
Yeah, but I just want to spend that money on drugs, yeah.
We don't know what his lifestyle. He might. No, I'm not going to speculate. I'm not going to say anything that could get us in trouble.
Yeah, no. He probably didn't spend it on drugs. Or he could have.
It's just ridiculous. Also, yeah.
It just gets worse after that one.
Right, go on.
In 2015 in the UK, a barrister was caught fare dodging, which he had been doing for 2.5 years. He was travelling from Oxfordshire to London, but pretended to have travelled from Wembley, northwest London, and only paid for the short trips in London, which is known as short faring. He received a prison sentence of 16 weeks, which was suspended for 12 months. The prosecutors wanted him to pay back nearly £20,000, the value of daily returns for the trips he made. But the defence argued that the barrister would have purchased a weekly ticket and not a daily, so should only have to pay back nearly £6,000. The barrister's lawyer said, The point is, he did buy weekly tickets, despite how short the journey. They were just the wrong ones. His behaviour, unlawful as it was, demonstrates that he did buy weekly tickets. And the judge agreed.
Okay.
Again, a wealthy barrister dodges out of a hefty fine.
Any consequences?
Yeah.
I mean, the money he paid for the lawyers, he might as well have just paid for a bloody ticket. Well, I don't know how much lawyers cost, but what a waste.
Well, the other guy had to pay 450 quid of legal costs, so...
Yeah, that's true.
In 2018, in Bogota, Colombia, a group of 50 people were caught fare dodging at a bus station. They were made to mop the floors of the bus terminal, and photos of them doing this were posted to Twitter with the hashtag #NoMoreDodgers. Fare dodging is quite high in Bogota. Tens of thousands of people are fined every year. People jump barriers, push behind paying customers known as tailgating, and they even climb over security fences. A lot of people applauded the punishment shared on Twitter, but others said that the bus service was not worth the fare and that money should be spent on fixing the service's severe overcrowding and stopping acts of groping and pickpocketing. The standard fare is 75 cents, which is 57 pence, and the fine is $42.
I agree with both points. Money could be spent. I think this can be applied to other locations as well, like in London and Paris or other big cities. You probably get perverts groping female passengers on the train. And in Paris, like, you really have to look out for pickpockets. But I think those two people that you mentioned before, the hedge fund manager and the barrister, they should have been made to mop the floors. I think that would have been more of a humiliating punishment for them. Because they've got the money, they can pay the fines.
And it would have been funny to see that on Twitter as well.
Yeah, like make them do a bit of community service.
Yeah.
Money is no loss to them, but their pride and dignity is.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, surely they can't have been able to perform their jobs as well after that because it was in the papers. So their colleagues would have found out.
Yeah, but I'm not sure.
I would have been really embarrassed if that was me.
Look at how many, I mean, I'm not going to assume their ethnic backgrounds, but look at how many rich, powerful men get away with shit and their careers are unfazed.
Yes, that's true.
So, yeah, don't know. Anyway, another extreme case, well, this gets really extreme. In 2019 in Chile, the government increased fare prices by 4%, which put Santiago's metro among the most expensive in Latin America. Students called for the widespread fare evasion on social media using the hashtag Evasión Masiva. The fare-dodging, turnstile-hopping protests grew into larger demonstrations with vandalism, looting, pulling of emergency brakes on trains, which affected more than 2.5 million passengers who used the metro. There were also violent clashes with the police who used tear gas to disperse the crowds. As well as supermarkets being looted and riots on the streets, 22 metro stations were torched. Even though the fare changes didn't actually apply to students, the protests were part of a wider discontent at the cost of living in Chile. Chile's centre-right president Sebastián Piñera called for a state of emergency and the military were deployed. A curfew was also put in place for the first time since the 1980s. As a result of the protests, 19 lives were claimed. 11 of those died from fires inside commercial premises, while 6 died at the hands of the military forces, and 2 others were also run over. Although Chile had been a democracy for 30 years, only 1% of the population earned 33% of the nation's wealth, making Chile the most unequal member of the OECD, which is the Organisation for Economic Cooperation and Development. That is a unique forum where the governments of 37 democracies with market-based economies collaborate to develop policy standards to promote sustainable economic growth. In the end, more than 1 million people marched through the streets despite the government attempts to crack down. That's some butterfly effect.
Yeah.
But I mean, I guess like these feelings, they must have been brewing below the surface for a while, and all it needed was one little change, one little action from the government, And it just so happened that they decided to put up the transport prices. So...
Governments are stupid.
They are. In January 2022, a man jumped over a turnstile in New York subway to avoid the $2 fare and ended up breaking his neck and died instantly. I haven't seen the video to this, by the way, have you?
Yeah, I have, and it doesn't show, like, his death, obviously.
No.
But it is quite, it's quite sad, obviously, because he died, but...
Yeah, probably because that's his last moment.
Yeah, and I don't know if there were guards there or maybe there wasn't, but I feel like someone should have checked that he was okay.
Right. So the video shows him trying to jump over one turnstile, but he falls and drops his phone. He then stumbles back and tries to jump over another turnstile, and he loses his balance, flips over the barrier, and hits his head on the floor.
Yeah, so he sort of gets up onto the metal pole of the turnstile and sort of flips over.
Oh, shit, yeah.
And then his head hit the floor.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah. So I feel sorry for that guy because he had a kid as well.
Yeah. And it's just such a... Not to undermine his death, but it's just such a stupid action. Not stupid for him doing it, but it's just anyone can do that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like anyone's capable of doing that.
Yeah. It's a stupid accidental death.
Yeah. Gosh. And like so unexpected. So in March 2023, a Great Ormond Street hospital consultant faced a 6-month suspension from his job for fare dodging as he used his wife's free travel pass to get to work.
Excuse me, Nazia.
So yeah, I know, I was just thinking about that. I didn't do it habitually, it was just a couple of times. He said he was angry about having to pay for travel during the pandemic. He admitted to 54 counts of fare dodging and he had to pay a £500 fine and £297 for unpaid train fares and £425 in legal fees. I mean...
You better hope they don't have any CCTV of you doing this.
It was a long time ago. So it's yeah. I'm sorry, but you have to go, like, yeah, the pandemic was stressful for everyone and no one wanted to go to work because there was a pandemic. And I remember people that had to use transport during the pandemic, it was stressful because it wasn't that much quieter on some of the services because a lot of people still had to go to work. And being TfL, there were delays or suspensions. So sometimes trains or buses would be absolutely packed. And it's a bloody pandemic. Like, no one wants to be near anyone.
Yeah, I'm guessing they reduced the staff members on TfL as well.
We had staff people going off sick because they had COVID.
Yeah.
So...
But then again, he didn't want to pay for it because it's during the pandemic, but they were still providing maybe a poor service, but they were still providing a service. And yeah. I mean, if he's like a private consultant and someone did that to him and said that you just operated on me, I'm not going to pay you.
Yeah, he's a consultant. He's getting paid. All right.
Yeah, exactly.
And yeah, Great Ormond Street, that's where I had my heart operation.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, many, many years ago.
That's where my boyfriend was as a baby as well. He had a skin condition.
Oh, I didn't know that. We were probably there around this.
Oh, yeah, you would have been, maybe.
Yeah.
Both 87 babies.
Yeah.
But yeah, apparently he's in like a medical textbook or something.
Oh, wow. I didn't get in any medical textbooks. I just got slapped on the face by a nurse. Yeah. No, one of my memories of being in the hospital was I was crying because I was in the hospital. And I think a nurse, she just couldn't console me. So she slapped me and told me to shut up, bitch.
Jesus Christ.
I mean, this was like 1990. So things were different back then.
How old were you then?
4. Was it 91? 90? I was about 4 years old.
That's insane. I didn't know that.
No reason to tell you. I don't think many people do, but it's just one of my early memories from my time in the hospital there.
Oh, Christ.
I know. I have to laugh about it. Otherwise, I'll just bring up old traumas.
Yeah.
Speaking of traumas, especially childhood traumas, this one's horrible.
Yeah, this was horrible.
So in July 2023 in London, a black woman was handcuffed in front of her son because she was believed to have not paid her bus fare. And someone else, a bystander who recorded the incident, his video footage went viral. And it shows the woman in clear distress while two male Met police officers held her arms and handcuffed her. Meanwhile, her very young son can be seen clearly distressed and crying while being consoled by a female officer. And the officer said that she had refused to show her pass to a ticket inspector as she was getting off the bus, and apparently it escalated from there, and that she was de-arrested afterwards. And this was reviewed afterwards because she claimed that she was also verbally assaulted by the police, and, you know, obviously it went viral and there was a massive uproar, and the police are saying, like, the video, according to them, I'm just paraphrasing what they said, or like interpreting what they said. They said, the video is disproportionate to what actually happened. And apparently she refused to show the ticket, and she was approached by different types of like community police officers, blah, blah, blah. But it just looks horrible when you see the video.
Yeah.
Because she's basically being manhandled, and her son was probably really confused.
Yeah, he was just standing there watching and crying his eyes out, wasn't he?
Yeah, and I just think, like, it's a fucking bus ticket. Even if she had not paid, but she had, even if she hadn't, like, let it go. So, you know, there was accusations of racial profiling, which you have to wonder, because if it was someone else, would they have just let it go? But it just goes, I mean, it doesn't surprise me with the police, because they do use excessive force when it's absolutely not warranted, but they can't actually be bothered to do their own fucking jobs when they need to. Sorry.
No, I mean, it's the truth, isn't it?
Yeah.
For most police officers. I do have to say that, like, one of my friends is a police officer and someone else I know is a police officer. So they're not all like that. It's just the majority.
No, I know.
are.
You don't, but you just need a few bad apples to, you know, well, I'm not going to use that excuse. It's a systemic thing.
Yeah, and it's been proven to be as well.
Yeah, and while there are some good cops, there's way too many shitty cops that just don't know how to do their jobs properly and don't fulfill their duties to serve and protect. But that's a whole other...
That's a whole other episode, Nazia.
Yeah, so if we do have any police officers listening, we just hope you're not an arsehole. To put it bluntly.
To be fair, though, like, the police here, oh my God, I would not want to mess with those.
Really?
They're ex-army people, and they're built like shit brick houses.
It's really intimidating when you see armed police officers.
Yeah, that's the thing. They're all mostly armed here, I think.
Yeah. I've only ever seen armed police officers in Paris. We get a lot of police around here because of clashes with the school students and stuff. I used to massage police officers, and like, lovely individuals, but just there's a big population of not lovely individual police officers. Moving on. So in this is very recent.
Yeah, this was the other day. So we were recording in October.
Yeah. So this month in Chelmsford, members of the Train Drivers Union, ASLEF, were on strike, which impacted 16 train operators in England and led to thousands of trains being cancelled. This led to chaos in Chelmsford as a train going to London pulled in, not expecting to stop due to how full it was. The guards at the station had closed all the ticket barriers to get on the platform. This led to one person jumping the barriers. Then everyone started hopping over them. Like they were competing at a crazed Olympic event. I would love to have seen that, especially Chelmsford.
There's a video of it.
Oh my God.
It just literally starts with one guy, and then all the other commuters are just like looking around at each other thinking, oh, should we just do the same thing? And then they all just jumped over the barriers. And the guards was just like, what the fuck?
I mean, that is also really fucking dangerous. Look at what we've just talked about in New York.
It is.
And also, if there's overcrowding, like, oh my God.
But in the UK, they don't really have turnstile barriers. They have...
No.
They have, like, panels.
Yeah, but still.
Yeah, I mean, it is still pretty dangerous, yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't do it unless you're really, really flexible. But you could just see all these patches, and most of them had, like, really heavy bags with them as well. So they're trying to get over the barrier with their bags and then run towards the train.
Oh my God. Could you imagine, like, anyone trying to communicate with the train driver to warn him about what's happening?
Yeah.
Oh, that's hilarious.
So let's go on to ticket forgery now. So there are some individuals who have made their own tickets to use on public transport services. And in 2014, in the UK yet again, a man was caught for forging his own first-class train tickets and was ordered to pay back over £17,000. A search of his house found fake and genuine tickets, glossy photographic paper, computers, printers, craft knives, scissors, and a cutting board. He was sentenced to 6 months in prison, which was suspended for 2 years, and ordered to carry out 240 hours of unpaid work. In 2018 in Sweden, a bus driver was caught selling fake tickets to passengers in which he made a nice profit of 500,000 crowns, or 49,000 euros, over several years. He was accused of serious fraud. His wife was also on trial for receiving stolen goods and money laundering. Their son was even accused of money laundering. Crime. It's a family affair.
Yeah, right.
It's a family affair. They bought cars with the money they earned through the fake tickets, had 200,000 crowns in cash at their home, and large sums in savings accounts.
I mean, that is some serious... Who needs drugs? Going to fake tickets?
Yeah, it's a business.
Yeah.
The thing is, that must have been like before you could... I don't know what it is in other cities, but here you can't buy tickets from the driver of the bus or tram.
No. Maybe that's when it... No, because you moved to Sweden before that.
No, I moved to Sweden in 2018.
Oh, really?
Yeah, September 2018.
Oh, okay. I feel like it was longer than that.
So do I.
Yeah, unless it's somewhere else in Sweden where...
It was another county, I think it was.
Yeah, if it's a smaller county where they have a slightly different infrastructure and you can buy tickets off the bus driver.
Yeah.
Who knows?
But he made a lot of crowns.
Yes, quite an income.
In this year, actually, in India, a woman was caught in Mumbai for using a forged screenshot of a monthly travel pass to travel on air-conditioned trains. Customers can buy tickets through the Rail Networks app, which they can show to ticket inspectors. A few months earlier, a software engineer was caught for doing the same thing. And in August in Delhi, a man hacked into the Indian Railways website and sold tickets at inflated prices for 2 years and had made a profit of 34,000 euros.
So this lady with the screenshot, that just reminded me. So you know when TfL, they started taking contactless payment, like from your debit card and not the Oyster, and people who have Apple or Google Pay on their phone, did you ever hear about the Oyster beep trick?
Yes, I have heard about it, but please do tell us.
Yeah, so on the bus, you swipe your card or your phone and the Oyster machine beeps. And the bus driver isn't always paying attention. So some people, and I know people who have actually done this, they would download the soundbite of the Oyster beep and they would play it as they're swiping their phone over the card reader.
That's so clever.
Yeah. So then it sounds like they...
The thing is, on the Oyster, on the touching machine, there's a light that starts off with amber, and then as it's like approved, it turns green, doesn't it?
Yeah, but if the bus driver's not looking...
Yeah, if he's not... Yeah, that's really clever.
Yeah.
It's bad, but it's clever.
We don't condone it.
No.
It's very clever. It's very cheeky.
It is.
But yeah, that lady in Mumbai, she just reminded me of that.
Yeah, and the trains in India are on...
Oh yeah, you've been to India.
Yeah. I've been to Chennai and the metro system is fairly new there and it's really quite nice. It's all air conditioned and there's hardly anyone uses it because they don't trust it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What, do they think it's just going to break down every 5 minutes or something?
Yeah, they think the tunnels are going to collapse.
Oh, bless.
That's what I've heard from my boyfriend's family anyway.
Yeah, I guess if people have never used it, it's like new technology.
Yeah.
And if there's not much confidence in construction in those countries.
Yeah. But yeah, the national rail network, the trains are so packed.
Yeah.
And so uncomfortable. So I don't actually blame her for wanting to use the air conditioning.
Exactly, yeah.
But yeah, we still don't condone it.
No.
So let's talk about the measures to stop fare dodging, what they are in different countries. And we'll start off with the Netherlands. And the national rail network in the Netherlands has been successful in reducing fare dodging and violence against its staff by simply barring access to many stations for those who do not have a ticket. In the city of Almere, transport networks are trying to turn fare dodgers into paying customers by issuing them tickets instead of fines. So when someone is caught fare dodging, they are charged €35 and given a penalty package, which includes a travel card for 10 more journeys. Although if the same person is caught again, then they would have to pay the €50 fine.
See, that is a very reasonable approach.
I thought that was a good idea, yeah.
I think so, yeah.
I think that would work in London as well.
Yeah. Yeah, and in Paris.
But I'm wondering if they make more money out of the fines in London than they would with this scheme.
Yeah. And to be fair, the Netherlands got quite a nice chunk of money when one of their travel companies operated in London because of the privatisation of transport services in London. So do you remember Abellio?
Yeah.
It's
a Dutch?
Yeah, it's a Dutch company.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah, because my ex used to work for Abellio and they had a bunch of Dutch people come over to check them out. So I don't know what companies it is now because I haven't seen Abellio, but basically the money would go back to that country.
Ah, okay.
So, yeah.
Interesting.
Good old Tory privatisation.
Yeah. In Bangladesh, passengers can only purchase tickets if they have registered their ID on the railway, so that nobody can travel on the network using somebody else's ticket. The network also hopes this will stop the sale of tickets on the black market. So you wouldn't have been able to use anyone's Freedom Pass there.
No.
And we go on to artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
Did you ever get annoyed with being stopped on the way to work or home in London by a ticket inspector? Because they'd always seem to choose like rush hour to do it. And then they'd oftentimes cause a queue just to get out of the station or inside the station.
Whenever I came across an inspector in London, it was never in rush hour. But in Paris, when I've come across ticket inspectors, it's always been really busy. And like for example, on the weekend when like me and my sister are going to the marathon or something and it's like everyone's coming out of the station and you want to inspect their tickets.
Yeah.
And they have the tiniest exits in so many stations, so it proper bottlenecks.
The C2C rail network in the UK, I used to get that from Fenchurch Street to West Ham.
Yeah.
And at West Ham, they'd always used to be at the bottom of the stairs as you're coming off the platform.
Yes, actually, I do remember that.
And then the queue would go right up the stairs onto the platform.
Yeah.
So it would make it difficult getting off the train as well.
No, I do remember that, actually.
Yeah.
It was so long ago, I've forgotten about it.
Well, AI might make things a lot easier for fare-paying customers. In 2019, Barcelona started using AI at train stations. A camera installed above a ticket barrier, which is connected to hardware, is able to send an alert with the fare evader's picture to a ticket inspector who is positioned further inside the station. The inspector is then able to spot that person and stop them from boarding a train. Some stations on New York subway have started to utilise this tool and are planning to roll it out to further stations on the network by the end of the year. The Metropolitan Transit Authority are using the AI system to track who is evading and how they are doing it. Some people argue that it wastes money that could be spent on improving services, making them more available and accessible, instead of focusing on getting money from those with low incomes.
Yeah, I kind of have to agree, and I don't feel comfortable. Like, I know it's a public space, but I don't feel comfortable with a camera, like, keeping track. Is that out, the balance between privacy and security?
Yeah, and they do actually keep the data to check on numbers.
Yeah, I don't know. That makes me uncomfortable.
Yeah.
What is it gatewaying to?
Yeah, but I mean, London is already a Big Brother state.
Yeah, I mean, even in Asda, you get recorded at the... I hate those cameras.
At the checkouts.
Yes! Oh, they're the worst.
I saw someone checking out their makeup in one of those.
Oh my God, no. Yeah, but it's true, because it's going to be other people paying for this.
Yeah.
And the people who fair evade, they're going to fair evade, and they're not going to have to pay anything. And most of them can't, because they're on low income.
Yeah, so they're going to do it regardless, whether there's AI or not.
Yeah.
But are there groups that actually encourage fair dodging? And there are. Well, there's one that I know about. And it's the Swedish group Planka. They have a website, planka.nu. And it was set up to put pressure on local authorities and the government to create free public transport. They offer a membership scheme where you can pay a monthly fee, which is 100 crowns or €8.60, and they pay the fines that people receive if caught without a ticket.
Yeah, there's something similar in France where I don't know if it's a particular group. I wouldn't know how you find it or people find out about it, but you can pay a monthly fee, air quotes, to an insurance company. Obviously, they're not a legit insurance company. So you pay like €7 a month. And if you get caught for fair dodging, they'll pay your fines.
Yeah.
So it's kind of similar.
Yeah. In Gothenburg, which is where I live, the fine for travelling without a ticket on the buses and trams is 750 crowns for youths between ages 15 and 17 and 1,500 crowns for adults over 18. The group is environmentally conscious and want to reduce the reliance on fossil fuel cars, and they believe a free public transport system would help.
Good for them.
Yeah, my boyfriend who works for a car company here knows some people that are actually signed up to this scheme, and I don't really see anything wrong with it because A, they're actually paying something, and B, the fines get paid anyway if they get caught.
Exactly. So, are there places where free public transport exists? There are. Luxembourg in 2020 became the first country to offer nationwide free public transport. However, first-class travel on some services still have to be paid for, which is fair, and all passengers must show identity if asked for on any service, which is fair.
Yeah, I don't know why that is the case.
Yeah, but I mean, you're getting free transport, you can't complain.
Yeah, true.
In Malta, in October 2022, they introduced free public transport on its day, night and special services bus routes. People still need to hold a Talinia card, which is like their equivalent to an Oyster, to get the free access so the bus company can keep an eye on numbers. And people still have to pay to access Malta's bike and ferry services. Which again, it's fine. It's not a massive country, but yeah, that's pretty cool. And Tallinn, the Estonian capital, has had free public transport for residents since 2013. Tourists and Estonian residents from other counties still have to pay. The city made transport free to improve access for those on lower incomes and people affected by the 2008 financial crash. I didn't know that, and I've been to Tallinn twice.
Did you pay for public transport?
Yes, I did, but it was so cheap compared to like anywhere else I've been, so it didn't matter.
What kinds of public transport do they have there?
I think I mainly used the bus. Trying to remember. I think I used the tram. Tram and bus is what I mainly used. It's not a huge place, so it's quite easy to get around. And that is pretty cool that they made it accessible for people on lower incomes because compared to Finland, the wealth isn't huge over there.
No.
Like a lot of people, from what I've heard, they go over to places like Finland for the higher wages.
Yeah, there's quite a few Estonians here.
Yeah.
But it's not that far away, really.
No, because I travelled to Stockholm from Tallinn by ferry.
Yeah.
And it was an overnight ferry.
So what do you think about fair dodging now? Have your opinions changed? Or
I think it has I think understanding how other countries deal with it far better. Yeah, like you kind of understand why people do it, especially if they're low income. I'd still hate to have someone encroaching my personal space to tailgate behind me. But yeah, I think it's pretty cool that there are groups like the Freedom Fund and Planker and this insurance thing in France.
yeah. I think there should be more groups like that in other countries, to be honest.
I doubt they'd get away with it in London.
No, they wouldn't.
I think that's the thing. I think it's European countries, they're a bit more liberal and their governments aren't as fucked up.
True.
As ours in some European countries. Not all, but yeah.
What do you think about the punishments of making people clean up stations? And do you think that should be the punishment for fare dodgers, or do you think there should be fines? Or
I mean, you can't always do a case by case. It's not practical. But I think when it's someone who's like from a low income background, something like a fine that gives you a book of tickets to use is a more suitable consequence.
Yeah, like they had in the Netherlands.
Yeah. If you're someone like a hedge fund manager or a consultant who's earning all right amount of money, then you should be made to do community service.
Yeah.
If you can afford to pay the fine, you should be given something else as punishment.
They should be made to do community service in the station, and they should have to wear like a jacket that says, I'm doing this because I fare dodged.
Yeah, fare dodging community
and
service.
And I earn enough money to buy tickets.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
If you can afford a lawyer, you can...
What I found out is that there's actually solicitors specialising in fare dodging.
In which country? In Sweden?
In the UK.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It's easy money, isn't it?
Yeah, I guess so. But I saw loads of websites offering that service. So if you do get had for your Freedom Pass usage, you know where to go.
Yeah. I'll ask you to pull up that search history. So yeah, that was a bit of a different episode.
Yeah, a bit of an unusual one. It was fun though.
Yeah, I don't think many true crime podcasts have discovered fare dodging.
It's not as dark as the usual crimes.
No, it's a bit of a palate cleanser.
But what's our next episode about?
So our next one... Now, I don't know how to pronounce his name. Do I pronounce it the European way or the Arabic way?
You could do both if you like.
He's called Carlos Ghosn, or Hosson, but we'll go with Ghosn because it's easier. And that's what everyone else seems to call him.
People say Gone as well, don't they?
Yeah, we'll go with Ghosn. So, he's a very interesting character, and we're still researching him, and I don't know what to make of him just yet.
I do, but I've watched all the documentaries, so...
Have you watched the Apple one as well?
Yeah, I finished it today.
Oh, wow. Okay. I'm still on the first episode.
He's, well, we should say that he was the CEO of Renault and Nissan.
Yeah. Before that, he was the CEO of Michelin, which I didn't know.
Yes, he was, yeah. He worked his way up there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then he got employed by Renault.
Yeah.
Became CEO first at Nissan, and then was offered the CEO-ship at Renault.
But he had to, it was on the condition that, we won't spoil it.
Yeah, no spoilers here.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a very interesting character. And it's one of those, like, is he a villain or is he a victim?
Yeah.
But we'll
go into it.
Yeah, we'll dive into that next week.
Yeah. It'll be interesting.
Yeah.
I hadn't even heard of this guy until my brother told me about it, and then that's when I texted.
Yeah, I hadn't heard of him until you told me about it. But I'm not surprised because this he got found out during like the lead up to the pandemic. So
yeah.
It might have just got hidden by the COVID news.
Everything else.
Yeah, everything else going on.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's next week, listeners.
Yeah, so do join us for that.
Yeah, and follow us and like us and download us from wherever you get your podcasts.
Thank you for listening to the show. We hope you enjoyed this episode. You can find more information about the show on our website at feloniouspod.com or on our Instagram at felonious.pod.
Links to our show notes can be found in the episode description, as well as through our website and social media. You can visit our Contact Us page and tell us what you think about the show and if there are any cases you would like us to cover. We hope you join us for the next episode. Goodbye.
Bye.